I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever, number one. Number two, this is a president, I have released all of my tax returns, 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling?
President Trump, your response.
First of all,
tonight, as President Trump faces an impeachment inquiry, he did something that stunned everyone watching. He urged not one, but two foreign nations to investigate Joe Biden and his son. Today, it was China, a global rival. Well, that prompted the chair of the Federal Election Commission, Ellen Weintraub, to tweet a statement that says it is illegal for anyone to solicit, accept, or receive anything of value from a foreign national in connection with a U.S. election. Weijia Zhang is at the White House.
If they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens.
President Trump said that's what he wanted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to do regarding Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
It's a very simple answer.
A simple answer to a question he evaded less than 24 hours earlier.
are you talking to me?
Yeah, it was just a follow-up of what I just asked you, sir.
Listen, you ready? We have the president of Finland. Ask him a question.
The president even called on a second country to look into the Bidens.
And by the way, likewise, China should start an investigation into the Bidens. Because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
Mr. Trump claims Hunter Biden profited in Ukraine and China because of his father's position as vice president. There is no evidence of wrongdoing. Democrats say Mr. Trump is hunting for dirt to use in the 2020 race. Accepting help from a foreign entity in a U.S. election is a crime. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff.
The President of the United States encouraging a foreign nation to interfere again to help his campaign by investigating Iraq is a fundamental breach of the president's oath of office.
Vice President Biden hit back at Mr. Trump's attacks last night.
There are no truth in the charges against me. None. Zero.
But many Republicans remain hesitant to dive into the controversy. During a town hall in Iowa, a voter grilled Senator Joni Ernst for refusing to call out the president.
Where is the line? When are you guys going to say enough and stand up and say, you know what, I'm not backing any of this?
I can say yay, nay, whatever. The president is going to say what the president is going to do.
Weijia joins us now from the White House. So I understand that the White House is facing a deadline tomorrow to turn over documents. What do you know will happen there?
Well, Nora, that is highly unlikely to happen. In fact, 3 House committees have already drafted a subpoena to demand those documents linked to Ukraine, anticipating the White House will miss tomorrow's deadline. President Trump himself said he will comply with subpoenas, and he always does. But, Nora, we have seen time and time again his legal team block information from Congress.
All right, Weijia, thank you.
And we begin this Sunday morning with the very serious allegations leveled at a sitting president of the United States. A deep dive and breaking news this morning into claims of influence peddling and selling out America while pocketing cash for himself and his family, and the impact to U.S. national security. Here's House Oversight Committee Chairman Congressman James Comer with me on Friday morning on Fox Business's Mornings with Maria. Watch.
Based on the fact that 9 different Biden family members have been receiving payments from a web of LLCs that are receiving payments from our adversaries around the world. This fits a pattern of questionable behavior that the Biden family members have been doing to receive funds. So we take this whistleblower claim very seriously. We know it exists. We know the FBI has the document. I can tell you this, the Biden family have received a lot of payment from the Chinese Communist Party. From entities that are state-owned entities.
Chairman Comer sending a subpoena to FBI Director Christopher Wray to testify and to produce a document in the FBI's possession that, quote, describes an alleged criminal scheme involving then Vice President Biden and a foreign national relating to the exchange of money for policy decisions. This comes as Secretary of State Anthony Blinken denies he pushed for 51 intelligence officials to sign a letter calling the Biden laptop Russian disinformation right before the election, and then lied about it under oath, as Senator Ron Johnson told us right here last week.
Anthony Blinken finally did come in and sit down for a voluntary transcribed interview in December of 2020 because he wanted to be Secretary of State. And now, because of more information that's come out, we know that he lied bold-faced to Congress about never emailing Hunter Biden. My guess is he told a bunch of other lies that hopefully we'll be able to bring him and his wife back in, tell them to preserve their records.
That wasn't my idea, didn't ask for it, didn't solicit it, and I think the testimony that the former Deputy Director of the CIA, Mike Morrell, put forward confirms that.
Joining me right now with more on all of this in this Sunday morning exclusive interview is House Oversight Committee Chairman, Kentucky Congressman James Comer. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning.
What can you tell us about this latest investigation of influence peddling on a sitting president? I know that you're planning a press conference this Wednesday. What will we learn?
Well, Senator Grassley and I received a tip on a whistleblower. Senator Grassley was the lead in this. We reviewed documents from the legally protected whistleblower, highly credible whistleblower that would implicate Joe Biden in a pay-for-play scheme, in trying to set up a deal to receive funds to he and his family in exchange for foreign policy decisions. Now, that fits a pattern, Maria, of what we've seen with these bank records. And on Wednesday, we're going to present to the American people all the information that we've received thus far pertaining to bank records. We're going to disclose many of the different LLCs, many of the different transactions that all these different Biden family members have gotten from our adversaries around the world. Now, we don't believe this was just a coincidence that all these Biden family members were receiving money from this web of LLCs into their personal bank accounts. We believe this was done in exchange for something that then Vice President Biden and now President Biden would have done. So this whistleblower is going to provide some very crucial information to our investigation, and we've given the FBI until May the 10th to produce this document. So the ball is in the FBI's court with respect to this whistleblower.
You are sure that this document exists?
100%.
What if they don't release the document by May 10th? What if they decide to indict Hunter Biden for having a gun illegally before your press conference?
My message to the Department of Justice is very loud and clear. Do not indict Hunter Biden before Wednesday, when you have the opportunity to see the evidence that the House Oversight Committee will produce with respect to the web of LLCs, with respect to the number of adversarial countries that this family influence peddled in. This is not just about the president's son. This is about the entire Biden family, including the president of the United States. So we believe there are a whole lot of accounts that the IRS and the DOJ don't know about, because we don't believe they've done a whole lot of digging in this. And we have. We've spent the past 100 days poring over bank documents. I've used subpoena power to get these bank documents. We've been meeting with former associates of the Bidens in their different influence peddling schemes. We've been meeting with whistleblowers. We know exactly what this family was doing. And by all accounts from the media reports that we're getting, what they're looking at charging Hunter Biden on is a slap on the wrist. It's a drop in the bucket. So Wednesday will be a very big day for the American people in getting the facts presented to them so that they can know the truth. And then the Department of Justice can finally do what they should have done years ago.
What?
Well, obviously, the president's son's committed many crimes. I mean, you're looking at potential money laundering. Jonathan Turley comes on Fox all the time and talks about he was essentially a foreign agent for countries like China. He's an unregistered foreign agent. Those are serious crimes. You've got the possible racketeering I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And again, Maria, it's not just the president's son. And we don't believe these countries were paying the Biden family for nothing. We believe they were getting a return on their investment, and the return on the investment would have been policy decisions for then Vice President Joe Biden and current President Joe Biden.
How much money do you believe the Biden family has taken in? How much money have you been able to identify of cash going to Biden family members?
Well, we're going to dive into that on Wednesday, but it's millions and millions of dollars. I can say that. Hopefully people will pay attention on Wednesday when we have this press conference and they can see actual bank records. So, you know, another thing that's important to note with this investigation, Maria, and I think will make it even more interesting on Wednesday, is more and more evidence is pointing towards Joe Biden. I mean, obviously, Joe Biden was involved in all these things, despite the fact that he's lied to the American people, despite the fact that his press secretary continues to lie about it. We've already produced one wire from one LLC, totaling over $1 million to 4 different Biden family members. And now we're going to produce an additional 5 Biden family members, more countries, more LLCs, more bank accounts. I mean, this thing is much bigger than anyone would have ever predicted. And it all points towards Joe Biden, the big guy.
This is just incredible. So is this money laundering? Is this racketeering? What? They were just taking money and changing policy decisions and announcing policy decisions on behalf of America and pocketing the cash.
Yeah, the LLCs were set up to disguise the sender of the money and to deceive the IRS so they wouldn't have to pay taxes, or else the countries would have just wired the money directly to the Bidens. But they tried to do it through a web of LLCs. I was a director of a bank for over a decade. There's a term that banks use for that. It's called money laundering. And obviously the bank violations that we looked at Treasury, many banks suspected the same thing. So the Department of Justice has a whole menu of options to go after this family on, not just the president's son, but this family. And it's not going to be lying on a gun application or not paying taxes for 1 or 2 calendar years. I don't think they realize how many different LLCs and how much different money the Bidens laundered into their personal accounts. So there's a whole lot of information here for the Department of Justice to use. And by all accounts, I don't think they're aware of the majority of it.
One of the critical decisions that this president made during the first couple of weeks of his presidency was to cancel the China initiative. This is a Trump-era initiative, which was actually indicting those people who were getting paid by Communist China to send intellectual property and information from America back to China. Secretary Pompeo closed down the entire Houston embassy over the surveillance and that, as well as others. Is the China initiative cancellation one of those decisions that Joe Biden got paid for?
Well, it's very suspicious why he did it. I mean, this is one of the worst decisions with respect to national security that Joe Biden made as president. And he did it right out of the bat. And the person that he had that at the time that was making the pitch to the FBI to drop the China initiative because they said it was racially profiling Asian student was the then president of the University of Pennsylvania, who is now Biden's appointee as ambassador to Germany. And remember, the University of Pennsylvania was getting tens of millions of dollars from anonymous donations from China. Maria, this stinks to high heaven. The amount of money that China has sent Biden and Biden family entities has apparently impacted many decisions that this administration has made that were adversarial to every American. Our national security is at risk because of bad policy decisions that Joe Biden made that put China first and America last. And for me to see all these bank records and all these deposits from the Chinese Communist Party directly to the Biden family members, I mean, it's pretty disgusting. And I can't wait until Wednesday to present this to the American people. And I'm anxious to see how the mainstream media covers this, because the New York Post, the New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, I don't even think they covered the whistleblower that Senator Grassley and I presented. They didn't even cover that. I mean, that's a pretty big story, a credible whistleblower.
Yeah.
comes forward and says the Vice President of the United States was trying to shake down a foreign national in exchange for foreign policy decisions.
Another decision that we've discussed in the past was that memorandum of understanding that Biden signed as vice president back in 2013. That allowed hundreds of Chinese companies to trade on U.S. exchanges and not follow any U.S. auditing rules. That enabled these companies to enter America and get huge money raising from U.S. investors. Was that one of the decisions?
Well, I mean, that's another very bad decision that put China first and America last. I mean, you know this, Maria. I used to watch you on CNBC all the time. I mean, a publicly traded company has to go through so many compliance requirements, so many auditing requirements. And he just, with the struggle of the pen, allows the Chinese companies to go in and bypass all this. It puts China at another competitive advantage over the United States in attracting American capital. I mean, this president has always put America last and China first. And I think the walls are coming in on this family. And Wednesday's going to be a big day with respect to transparency and with respect to credibility of congressional investigations.
Real quick before you go, I'll be focused on Wednesday, and we certainly want to get you back after that press conference. But what if they do not adhere to this? What if they refuse to turn over that memo? What are you going to do about Merrick Garland, the head of the DOJ? What about Christopher Wray at the FBI? Will you move to subpoena, impeach? What can you do? What levers do you have if they say, no, we're not giving you any document?
Well, Senator Grassley and I have a plan B. We hope to not have to employ plan B, but we will. So I've still got a little bit of confidence in the majority of the employees at the FBI and the DOJ, not the top. I lost confidence in the top a long time ago. But hopefully there will be enough people that will put pressure on the leadership to do the right thing and be transparent with the House Oversight Committee and the American people.
Okay, we will leave it there. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much. We will be waiting for your news on Wednesday. House Oversight Committee Chairman Congressman James Comer. Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.